Without the sun outside, my eye is particularly cloudy. My eyesight had really deteriorated, and I had had a few falls, and I'm an active guy. I'm as well as a racer. I like to do downhill skiing, and I was still doing these things, but it was a pleasure to do them with more pleasure and less anxiety. I'm Andy Greenberg. I discovered I had Fuchs corneal dystrophy, and my New York-based ophthalmologist told me that I needed a PK, a full-thickness transplant, and if I didn't do it right away, I'd lose my vision. I heard about the new DMEK at that time, and I started looking around. I went to Indianapolis, and I saw Dr. Price. I went to Portland, Oregon. I saw Dr. Terry. And then I went to Rotterdam and met Dr. Melles. And I knew I trusted him. That was where I was going to do it. And everything went great. And in 2017, I went back and did the other eye. And now I've discovered after 10 or 12 years that they don't last forever. And I'm now in my 13th year here to redo the original graft.
Dr. Gerrit Melles is probably the greatest living ophthalmologist, maybe the greatest ophthalmologist of all time. He is a Dutch cornea specialist who currently lives still in Holland, in Rotterdam. And he is responsible for a number of enormous innovations, totally world-changing discoveries in the field of especially corneal medicine. And one of the things that he figured out is that it was possible to transplant only part of the cornea, that you didn't have to replace the whole cornea. And that was a major innovation because a whole corneal transplant is a really big operation and a waste if you just have a problem with one tiny part of the cornea. It'd be like buying a new car if you chipped the paint on the hood or so, but that's the way it's been for hundreds of years prior to Dr. Melles' discovery that you could just replace individual components of the cornea with his really innovative techniques. I first got to know Dr. Melles because when I was a medical student, I was required to complete a 2-month-long research project. And I had heard about him as being the world's greatest, and I thought, well, why not just send him an email and see if a 2-month-long research project could produce something of interest? And accidentally, I ended up spending 10 years living in the Netherlands working with him. That's what I did my PhD in corneal transplantation with Dr. Melles. It was one of the most transformative experiences of my life, in addition to being just one of the most fun and wonderful things I could imagine being a part of.
Yeah, it's all right.
Who are you?
Who?
First eye is doing great.
Good, great.
Better than I ever expected.
I'm so glad. It's comfortable. It doesn't look red. I like it. It looks good.
I met Andy Greenberg through Dr. Melles. It was probably 10 years ago. Gerrit Melles was invited to give a big named lecture at Harvard. So he traveled to the campus of Harvard and he invited me to come with him. So we both went to Harvard to give this talk, and it was to all of the faculty of the Harvard ophthalmology department, all of the cornea specialists, the residents, the fellows, everyone is there, is gathered to watch basically Gerrit speak. And he was describing his results with this operation of his invention, DMEK. And this was such a revolutionary change. You know, you can give arguments for it, you can show pictures, you can reveal videos, but the trump card, the thing that Gerrit really brought that was convincing, was Andy. Andy came down from Connecticut and he was there on stage, and the Harvard doctors came by and would examine his eyes to see what this brilliant new operation looked like in a patient. And Andy was the evidence of how this could look when it goes beautifully and how it could be so much better than what had been developed before.
Dr. Melles invited me to come up to Boston, and he was being honored at that time by the Harvard Medical School, and he needed a subject. And I told him I would be happy to cooperate in any way. So there we are in the front of this huge auditorium of ophthalmologists, and he had his examining microscope there, and I'm sitting at the other end, and everything that he saw was projected onto a huge screen that filled the entire stage. And I'm listening to him describing all the intricacies of my eye and my procedure and so on in the DMEK. And I was so fascinated listening to him that at one point I started to get up to look at the screen, and he grabbed my shoulders and shoved me down. And he said to me, "You're live." When NEOS was closing, Gerrit told me that Dr. Jack was the best corneal surgeon in the United States, and that was the way to go. You know, there aren't a lot of people I trust, but Dr. Melles is one of them, and when he told me to see Dr. Jack, I was ready to go. My bag was packed. And I was totally comfortable. I trusted him. The moment I met him, I knew I trusted him.
The reason he went and saw Gerrit back in Holland 15 years ago is because he wants the very best. That's what he's interested in. He wants to know what is the very best thing that I can have. And so we talked with him about what's the very best surgery, what's the very best way we can do it. And you know, we built this facility here in Birmingham. It's this brand new building, and we built it out with this potential to do our procedures on site in the office. And the reason we like that is because it provides unparalleled control over the environment. We have our own staff, we have our own instruments, we have the Surgicube, which is another device of Gerrit Melles' invention. It is a hood that provides a sterile airflow above the operating site, which means that the surgeries done here are cleaner and more sterile than they are anywhere else in the world. And so I think that what we are really proud of here is the way we've built our entire operation, everything that we do around basically providing the best possible quality surgery for these types of patients.
My vision is better than it's been in years. I am thrilled. It improved very, very quickly. And now I'm a week out and I can practically see around corners. The detail, the depth of field, I have no problem in the darkness, in the rain. There's no reflections, no halos, and I can see subjects that are backlit, which I haven't seen in years. So I couldn't be more happy. The experience here was warm, friendly, supportive, gracious, reassuring.
Yes.
It was over before I knew it. I had surgery last Thursday. I went in for my post-op on Friday, and I was just a hair short of 20/20. And Dr. Jack told me that it was still healing, there was some swelling, and that I would certainly reach 20/20, and it's improved since then. It was quick and easy, and Dr. Jack spoke to me and reassured me at times and told me what to expect, and it was really a piece of cake. If anyone sees this video who's considering when to do a DMEK, my suggestion is don't wait. You know, the old time advice was wait as long as you can. Surgery is onerous and scary and dangerous, and that's not the case. We're living in another time, and rather than suffer with compromised eyesight and quality of life and risk of falls, go do it. It's quick, it's easy, the results are fantastic, and the recovery is smooth and easy. So that's my suggestion. Go for it. And if anyone wanted to talk to me, I'd be happy to make myself available to answer any questions.